A lot of times we ask God to help us feel better, but sometimes we're not going to feel better until we do better. And when you're managing secrets that you won't bring before God and confess to Him so that He can begin the process of healing, you will always feel off inside. God can't be the source of your strength if He's not the source of your standards. How can I expect God to give me influence if I will not embrace the standard of sacrifice that influence requires? I want the influence, but not the sacrifice. I want the resurrection, but not the crucifixion. Who set your standards? How can I expect to live in freedom if I do not embrace God's standard of forgiveness? If I hold on to every offense and let it all in the gate and don't turn back the battle, if I'm looking for reasons to be offended, looking for reasons to be angry, I should not be surprised when I find myself in a low emotional state. How can I be free from what I let walk right through my front door? How can I expect to walk in freedom if I have not chosen to walk in forgiveness? It is the standard of forgiveness that enables me to live in freedom. I don't forgive you for you. I forgive you because I want to be free. How can I expect God's peace in my life if I don't control my meditation? How can I receive strength that God is trying to give me if I just let any thought in? How can I expect to live in a state of joyful celebration of my progress if I allow myself to constantly complain? And sometimes I'm complaining or criticizing. I can be real critical because I got that excellence thing. And the flip side of excellence is judgmental. When I try to put my standard on you, which is always wrong. Which is always wrong. And so now I've opened my mouth and I thought I was complaining or I thought I was criticizing, and I told myself, I'm just letting it out. No, I'm letting it in. I left my gate wide open to the enemy because I have no standard. But when I set a standard for my speech and my thoughts, I turned back the battle at the gate. And now I'm not in the stranglehold of a system of thought that I allowed myself to flirt with. And now I'm living in a state of joy, and I'm living at a level above the serpent, and he's under my feet, and I am not negotiating with what God called me to trample on. I said I'm not going to conversate with what God has given me the ability to crush. I'm taking my stand, and I'm setting my standard. How can I expect God's strength if I do not embrace God's standard? How can we expect God to give our nation unity if we do not embrace His standard of equality? He will be a spirit of justice to the one who sits in judgment. And when we allow inequality and prejudice and stereotypes and oppression to go unchecked and then ask God to make us one, we are violating the very principle that will create unity. And then we come up on a weekend and we celebrate Dr. King, rightfully, but we celebrate him at the wrong level because we celebrate his speeches. But Dr. King's life was not about speeches, it was about standards. And I'm so afraid that we want God to be our mascot. We want God to be like one of those little, those little stuffed animals, the ones that talk when you pull the string. And we got our little Jesus doll that we pull out. And we pull the string, and Jesus has about 3 little things that he says, love your neighbor and Love your enemies. And we pull the string. We pull the string and he just says these little sayings, and we don't want his standards, we just want his sayings. And we'll listen to speeches, we'll listen to I have a dream. But a dream without action and a dream without process and a dream without justice is a delusion. So we gotta raise the standard and declare that some things are not all right. There has to be a standard. We are the people of God. Where is our standard? We can't wait for anybody else to set our standard. We are the church. We are the light of the world. We are the ones in the gate. It's us. And he cannot be the source of our strength if he is not the source of our standards. We cannot poison the well and then complain about the water. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? We've got to stop it at the source. To draw a bloodline in the name of Jesus and say, this stops here. These are my standards. I will not apologize. I will not always live up to them, but I am pressing toward the mark for the prize of the high calling. I got a high calling, and I will not live with low standards. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button on your screen so we can notify you whenever we release new content. Go ahead and subscribe now. I'll see you next time.